Greg McLean directed one of my favourite Aussie horror flicks and cemented my fears of travelling to rural Australia forever. The trailer is obviously harking back to Wolf Creek with this intriguing Wolf Creek but in Bolivia idea. Honestly, that pitch doesn't sound too bad to me. Let's do it! Wolf Creek in New Zealand or Wolf Creek in Scotland. I'd pay to watch all of them. Anyway, here's my review of Wolf Creek 2. Jungle.
You can guess a landing spot on the dark side of the moon. I suppose you could guess a cave.
In an attempt to get to a lost tribe before the rainy season starts, Yossi and Kevin try to raft down a dangerous river and are separated from each other and from any nearby town. The film mainly focuses on Yossi as he has to try and survive the harsh conditions of the Bolivian jungle and continue moving forward to find shelter. It's very apparent that the trailer wants me to think it's a horror film, about a group of travelers who get tricked into being human game. Well, to me, the film feels more like 127 Hours and less like Hostel. It's not a bad thing. The story is pretty incredible and interesting. The story does seem to be going in one direction for a while, and then switches, and although the tone shifted, I was still on board because Jungle does some really cool things with the premise it presents. Okay, I know why the trailer misleads audiences. The pure horror angle seems more interesting and less complicated. You'd probably reel in a lot less audiences with the trailer that indicated what the film was actually about. And despite that, the film is worth the price of admission. I wouldn't call Jungle a survival thriller film. I would say Jungle is a thriller film about survival. The film's horrifying physical environment and the emotional distress Yossi goes through hits really close to its audience's spine with great sound, visuals, performance and editing. I'll be focusing mainly on Yossi, who occupies most of the film's themes and story. For the first half of this film, where his character's backstory is only hinted at, he was very engaging to watch and follow his journey with. The journey he goes through feels really connected to the character he is, and is mostly reinforced throughout. I know 127 Hours did this fairly well, I just like the way Jungle did it with its protagonist more. I think it's because we see many different interactions between Yossi and other characters, and the interactions have real weight to them, so when the story fixes its focus on Yossi entirely, the connections feel more wired and close to home. 127 Hours didn't give the audiences enough to empathize with. We're not entirely sure where he stands. In Jungle, a large portion of the film is spent syncing the audience up with Yossi, and it pays off in my opinion. Jungle made me feel so much of the physical and emotional anguish these characters go through, and part of that praise has to go to the amazing practical effects and production in general. The environment looks incredible, the visuals were jaw-dropping, and the pace of the story didn't get tiresome at all. Many moments in the film invoked the same emotional reactions in me as I would get from a traditional thriller film, and at times, that of a horror film. With a little bit of body horror in the mix for good measure, many scenes draw themselves out the same way a horror film would before a jump scare, but instead lingers without the payoff. The lack of payoff feels especially connected to Yossi's plight, where his character is never sure if he is hearing things or if he is in actual danger. The pacing of Jungle works to enrich the story and characters. I went into Jungle expecting a horror film and got something way more interesting, and still pretty horrifying. Jungle created a successful hybrid of horror and thriller to do the true story of Yossi justice. I can't say much more except, pay to watch Jungle.